there's a kind of pain which nobody really talks about. The pain where God answers your prayers, but not in the way that you expected it. You know, you asked God to fix a relationship. This is an example. Maybe you asked Him to fix a relationship. You asked Him maybe to bring you closer. You asked God to make your relationship work. But instead, He did something completely different from what you prayed for. He changed you. Like your tolerance got lower, your discernment got sharper, your spirit got uncomfortable in places that you used to feel so much at home. And now you cannot connect the same way anymore like you used to. Not because you don't love them, but because you've grown, like you've prayed, really prayed about this. You've prayed for someone to stay in your life. I'm talking about the prayers where you've asked God, you've said to God, please, God, don't let this fall apart. Please fix this. Please don't let me lose them, because you love them. But now they're gone, just like that. Or maybe they're still around, but everything feels so different. I don't know if I'm making sense. And then you feel like you're stuck in a place where you don't know, should I fight for this? Or is it God telling me, is this a way that God is using to tell me to let go? Because honestly, nobody really prepares you for this kind of shock, for this kind of, nobody prepares you for this part. We're always told to pray. We're always told to believe, we're always told God restores, God heals, God brings people back. But what do you do when God does not do this? What do you do when He doesn't? What do you do when you had prayed for closeness, but then got distance? When you prayed for understanding, and instead everything became clear, in a way that pushed you apart. That kind of silence from God, that kind of a different answer from God, it feels really confusing, because it almost feels like He ignored your prayer. And the truth of the matter is that He did not ignore your prayer. He didn't. He just did not answer the way you expected it. He didn't answer the way you wanted to be answered. And that's the thing. It brings us back to the place in the Lord's Prayer which says, your will, not mine. His will. His perfect will for my life, not mine. So this answer is His way His way and not yours, See, here's what most people miss. While you're busy asking God to change them, He started working on you slowly and quietly, almost unnoticeably at first. You could not even realize you're changing. Your mind started shifting. Your tolerance started changing. Things that you used to overlook in the past, right now you just can't ignore anymore. Conversations that felt so normal in the past now feel so draining. Situations that you used to justify in the past now feel so heavy in your spirit. And it's not because you suddenly think that you're better than anyone. No, it's because you're becoming different. You're being set apart. And this is usually the part that hurts the most. Because you still love them, that is what makes it even more confusing. If they had hurt you, then it would have been easier. If there was betrayal, it would actually make sense. It would be clearer. But sometimes there's no big moment. Just a slow realization that I cannot become who I am becoming and stay the same way with you. And that hurts, because now you're grieving someone who is still alive. You're grieving the version of the relationship that used to feel so right at some point in your life. And part of you wants to go back, not because it's right, but because it feels familiar. It's what you're used to. But listen carefully, not every loss is the enemy's, and not every ending is a failure. Sometimes it's just God's alignment. Because the version of you that prayed that prayer in the past was operating at a different level of understanding. And if God kept everything the same, then you would have stayed the same too, So instead of removing the people that you love instantly, He let you grow. He let you outgrow them slowly. He let your spirit mature. He let your discernment sharpen until one day you didn't fit there anymore. Not because you rejected them, far from that, but because you responded to God. You responded to Him. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They feel guilty for changing. They feel guilty for pulling back. They feel guilty for not showing up the same way as they used to anymore. But God will always, growth will always cost you something. Not everyone who had access to you before can go where God is taking you right now. And that does not mean that it doesn't make you fake. It doesn't mean that you're fake. It doesn't make you disloyal. It only means that you're being led. Simple as it is, God is leading you and you have accepted. So if you're in that place right now where it feels like you're losing people that you once prayed so hard to keep, don't rush to keep it. Don't force what God is gently pulling apart. And don't go back just because it feels familiar and comfortable. You didn't lose them, you outgrew them. You grew, and that is where God is taking you requires a version of you that can't stay where you used to be, so you have to adjust. If this spoke to you, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and comment below there. I am growing. I would like to see how many people this message reached. Thank you so much for your time. I love you all with the love of Christ, and until next time, bye.